Hey, welcome back to another episode of Time Out with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel. We'll be right back, but first let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank Final Forms for their support of the podcast. Final Forms is the industry leader in registration, but you have to know this. Final Forms is more than just forms. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it provides schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms helps your stakeholders with mobile accessibility, and it has reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that go with athletics. Final Forms also helps with team communication and attendance, and even certification management for coaches. And for ADs, Final Forms helps with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. And it does this with secure language translation and ADA compliance. You know, it's time for you to talk with a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started. We also want to thank Area Scouts for their support. Area Scouts provides athletes ages 8 and up with state-of-the-art assessments and sport and movement-specific development programs for all skill levels in all sports. Area Scouts also provides one-of-a-kind worldwide platform emphasizing sport-specific performance while focusing on overall athlete health and safety. And the best part, Area Scouts works with youth, high school, and college coaches from across the country. Go to areascouts.com now to enroll your athlete or team in the base assessment today. That's areascouts.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year and create the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo and see their tables and boards in action. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see exactly what these fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They've got a variety of interactive touchscreen video consoles and an entire library of templates to help recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments, and go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You can also call them at 614-981-3589, or you can email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 200,000 teams are using Huddle to help their teams play better using video and analytics. Huddle is a complete performance platform. They have online tools, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. Okay, there's always been analytics, but there's a whole lot more. Huddle's also built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high schools and colleges, and even the pros use Huddle to help their athletes perform at the highest level. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes and the coaches of the teams you're trying to get to recruit your kids. You want to find out more about how Huddle can help your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also gives the 95% of the players and the parents who really love your program a voice, and helps demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Let the folks at Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack show you how to take your athletic program from good to great. And finally, we want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your program by going to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy, all online ticketing. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Time Out with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel. Caleb's a longtime athletic director. He's going to be working this coming year with the Wichita Public School System, and his new series, Time Out, is going to kind of focus on some mental health things for AD. So, Kaleb, it's week 3, episode 3. What do you have for us this week?
All right. Hello, Jake. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in. As Jake mentioned, we're kind of focusing this series on mental health and, keeping that mental fitness very sharp and, but also, making sure that we are very aware of, our limits, and I don't think we want to be limitless, but I think there's something to be said about understanding that we don't have to be just this super strong athletic administrator that just goes until our gas tank is empty, if you remember what we talked about last episode. And so today I kind of wanted to dive into that kind of work-life balance. And, probably to no surprise, that is going to play a pretty crucial role in our mental fitness and the way that we balance keeping care of ourselves, but also serving others as a servant leader. And so when you think of work-life balance, I hope, first of all, that doesn't intimidate you. I hope that doesn't, make the hair stand up on the back of your neck or bring anxiety on right away. And likewise, I hope that it doesn't give you something to kind of just brush off and chuckle and being like, what work-life balance? I'm good, man. I don't got any problems with that. Because the reality is we are probably all somewhere in between that spectrum, from not caring at all about that. And I don't have a work-life balance. I don't got to think about that. And the other side of the coin, that it scares you. Because I think we have to be aware of it. We deserve to be aware of this. And so when you think of work-life balance, and when I think about it, it's a daily adventure. Okay, there is no book on it. There probably are books on it, but there is no definition to follow. There is no steps to take and get an A+ from the work balance teacher. It is something that is a constant struggle, but it is something that is a constant opportunity, because to seek work-life balance means that you are doing the best you can to serve others while also take care of yourself. And it's kind of, I just had a random thought I want to share, goes back to that analogy we talk about a lot in education about needing to put your oxygen mask on first on an airplane before you can put that oxygen mask on someone else. And that concept is true when we serve others. We have to take care of ourselves. And so work-life balance. My current journey, again, I'm not probably the pro at work-life balance. It is a struggle every day, but it's something that I try and I work my best with, and this is not my first year as an AD. As I enter my 5th year as an AD and 6th year as an administrator, 12 years as an educator, there's some things that I've learned throughout these years that I'm not a rookie anymore. But there's also some things that I'm still learning every year. And one of the things that I'm currently focused on the most is doing my best to leave work at home when I can. Leave work at work when I can. Because when I come home, and not all of our family situations are the same or what we have waiting for us or what we do outside of work. But when I come home to my family, my wife, 2 kids, they deserve my best. They deserve everything that I have to offer. And when I'm distracted, when I'm on my phone, when I'm, taking phone calls, that's not fair. That's not fair to them. And ultimately, that's not fair to myself. And that's not allowing me to be the best person that I can be, the best dad, the best husband, the best man, and ultimately the best leader, the best AD. So it is hard to keep the two separated, especially in the world of education and servant leadership. I mean, it's impossible, but that's where this balance comes in. So a couple little tips that I'll throw out there. Okay. And then at the end of this episode, we'll revisit those and really kind of maybe dig down deep. But I talked about the phone. All right. And whether you have somebody at home that kind of nags on you to get off your phone or quit tweeting, or, hey, is that an emergency? Do you really got to be talking to your coach right now? Guilty. My wife reminds me a lot of that. There's a lot of truth in that. All right. Being present is so important in this day and age. There's a lot of stuff we can do digitally and online and through our phone, and our phones are really important to do our job. But sometimes the most important opportunity we have with others is that relational in-person opportunities. And so whether that's those opportunities that you have at school and with work, or at home, that's why at home it's so important to put that phone away. And I think it's a little bit easier said than done, but what happens if you have, something going on at work, and the current, expectation is for those coaches or someone to reach out to you at home because you're the person that's got to take care of it. Okay, that makes sense. But what can you as a leader do to set up those instructions, to set up that maybe delegation, so that people know when you are and aren't available? So that would be the first suggestion I would give to the listeners, is be mindful of when you're on your cell phone. And if it's not absolutely imperative that you are hooked in 24/7 to your job, then don't be hooked in 24/7. Let your coaches know when you're really not going to be accessible. Okay. Sometimes the rule is, hey, after 9 p.m., guys, I'm probably not going to answer my phone or my text. And, there's some others to reach out to if it's an absolute emergency at the school. But otherwise, that's where I draw the line. And sometimes that doesn't make us feel the best because we were responsible. We need to be there for our coaches and our programs. But again, is it worth damaging your work-life balance? Okay. So the cell phone and making sure people know their limits. All right. Let's go ahead and let that kind of simmer for a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, let's kind of hit that again. And then let's talk about some more areas of where work-life balance may get out of balance and how we can bring it back in balance.
Yeah. As I was listening to you share that, it just took me back. And again, I think we're probably around 20 or so years apart, career-wise. So back when I was, your age, it was still very common for people to call. Now I think it's more common to text. And, our kids were in, junior high and high school at that time. And I look back, and there were just far too many times where I would answer that call. And I think had it been a text, I might have been able to resist that temptation. But back then, I didn't balance it well enough. And again, I was in a great situation. My wife was a career coach, and our kids were all in athletics. So they kind of understood, but at the same time, I should have done a better job. So again, AD's, Dr. Stoppel's sharing some wisdom with you. We are going to take a quick break, hear from a couple of our sponsors, but please stay with us. This is Time Out with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel. We'll be right back. We want to say thanks to Final Forms, the industry leader in registration. But you need to know this: Final Forms is more than just forms. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it provides schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms helps your stakeholders with mobile accessibility, and it has reminders for parents about policies and physicals and all the forms that go with having an athlete. Final Forms also helps with team communication and attendance, and even certification management for coaches. And for ADs, Final Forms helps with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. And it does this with secure language translation and ADA compliance. It's time for you to talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you, go to finalforms.com/Jake. That's finalforms.com/Jake to get started. We also want to say thank you to our newest sponsor, Area Scouts. Area Scouts provides athletes ages 8 and up with state-of-the-art assessments and sport and movement-specific development programs for all skill levels in all sports. Area Scouts also provides a one-of-a-kind worldwide online platform that emphasizes sport-specific performance while also focusing on overall athlete health and safety. And the best part, Area Scouts works with youth, high school, and college coaches from across the country. Go to areascouts.com to enroll your athlete or team in the base assessment today. That's areascouts.com. Welcome back, everyone, to Time Out with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel. Kaleb, you really hit hard on this idea of work-life balance and talking about the importance of, putting that cell phone away or putting it on mute. What else do you have to share for us on this episode?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're just checking back in, really the first segment could be summed up as be present, especially when you're in your personal space, whether that's with family at home, whether that's in your home, be present and give yourself a break from the cell phone. Okay. Others deserve it and you deserve that break as well. The other piece of work-life balance that I wanted to throw out there is I want to talk about delegation. All right. So we're an athletic director. We have lots of programs under our watch. We have lots of teams within those programs. And literally, if you have not figured this out yet, then you may be brand new and really excited and naive like I was when I was a rookie. And I tried to get to every single game from freshman level all the way up to varsity. It's just really hard. I'm not going to say it's impossible because I think it's important that we always strive to, be out there the best we can. And it's really powerful to be present physically with our coaches and our community and our kids. But folks, the reality is that will lead to burnout quicker than not. And so where does work-life balance fit in to how you do your job? And that's kind of an interesting question, right? Because I thought we were kind of separating, work and life. But that's where our opportunity lies. We don't have to be at every single contest. And sometimes we physically cannot be at every single contest. But what would our responsibility tell us to do? Well, if you and especially if you've taken the legal courses and the legal duties of an athletic director, there's some responsibilities and accountabilities that are on our shoulders to make sure are present at athletic events, especially events that we host. And so we have to take priority and we have to then delegate when we can't physically be there. And sometimes the matter of the fact is we don't need to be there, especially if you're attending games 5 nights out of the week, sometimes 6 nights out of the week. You need to ask yourself, do I absolutely have to be there? And can you instead model leadership through delegation of other staff members that they can be that authority figure or just that figure that can be the person to help implement the EAP, the Emergency Action Plan, if and when necessary? Can someone be there to address the crowd if necessary? Or do you just simply lead, again, through modeling with your coaches and make sure that they know their duty? If an emergency occurs at a game, do they know how to call 911, worst case scenario? Okay, so my point is this. Although our role is important as we are the leader, the director of the athletic department, we do not have to be at every single event for those events to be successful, fun, and safe. And so maybe instead of saying, well, gosh, we have events scheduled for my school and my team 6 nights this week, I have to be there for an event every night, I'm the athletic director, I would challenge you to think the opposite. And I would challenge you to pick the events that you want to be at and need to be at. Maybe it's for supervision of student sections. Maybe it's a tournament championship. Maybe you have a coach that you're working with for some improvement and you need to be there so that you can take in some observations on their techniques, their behavior, and that's why you need to be there. But then find the nights that you don't have to be there and delegate. Okay? Because I promise you, feeling like we need to attend every single game, every single minute, although that will make us feel satisfied in the moment that we are, quote, doing our job, it will not support and benefit you in the long run. And there will be relationships that might be what takes the damage of those decisions. It might be your overall mental health, because that's what we're talking about here. I guarantee there will be some damage to mental health. And it simply may start to lose the luster and the fun that our job provides. You'll start taking for granted having your job be able to go to games. And that should never happen, right? Because that's the best part of our job. So if that ever becomes the part of our job that we feel spiteful of, something's got to change. So why not get ahead of that? Why not say, well, yeah, I would love not to have 6 nights that I have something, that I can't be at home. I can't have some me time. And so don't wait for permission. Don't wait for having to feel risky and feel like you're going to have to seek forgiveness later and get slapped on the wrist. Communicate with others around you. Okay, if that's communicating with a supervisor above you, a principal, a district administrator, have that conversation now and make a plan. Find those leaders in your school building or in your athletic department and delegate those responsibilities that you oversee as an AD when it comes to athletic contests. Other people can be in charge, and that's okay. And I know that we as ADs are humble enough to hear that statement and agree, saying, hey, yeah, I don't have to always be the one in charge, but I am always responsible. So how can you check both of those boxes? How can you check the box that says, hey, I am well aware of all the events happening on any given night, and I know who is at all those events so that I can report back to my principal. I can defend to any parent saying, yes, at my school, this athletic department, we run safe events, because I can tell you at any given time who is the individual in charge at any given event. You can still have a presence at your events without having a physical presence. So I challenge all those listening right now, including myself. I'm not perfect at this. In fact, I don't delegate more often than not. And that is a challenge daily that I seek, because I deserve to have some of that time away. My family deserves to have me back away. My friends do. And guys, if we're servant leaders, one of our kind of responsibility is training up the next level of leaders. Right. And so just like, when we were coaches once, and maybe a lot of us still are coaches, but one of our jobs as a head coach is to train up those assistant coaches so they can be head coaches one day. One of our jobs as ADs is to train up those next level of potential athletic administrators. And folks won't get that experience unless they are given the keys to the car. And that's our job too, as servant leaders. So there we go in a nutshell, folks. Real quick, wrap around, put the cell phone down, be present with your friends, with your family, with your personal life. And then second, you now have permission to not be at every single athletic event every single night. It's not selfish. Make a plan to find coverage. Communicate that with others within your organizational, hierarchy, and then enjoy the time off for that brief moment, because you've earned it. And we need folks in this profession to stay strong, to stay focused, and not get burnt out.
Right. And you're absolutely right. And you have people in your staff right now. You might not know who they are, but they want to lead. They're looking for more responsibility. You also have coaches that are not looking for that extra responsibility. So again, as Kaleb said, find those people, nurture them, develop them, and add them to your staff so you can continue to perform at that highest level. Kaleb, if one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, the best place is going to be email. It's going to be my new email address. As Jake mentioned, I'm kind of transitioning to a district AD position. So that email address is going to be this: KSTOPPEL at USD259.net.
Dr. Kaleb Stoppel, he's with us every Tuesday on Timeout. Thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Jake.
For our listeners, remember the Zoom recordings of all of these interviews are being uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening today. Come back next Tuesday for more Timeout with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel, just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next week. We want to thank all the sponsors for Timeout with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel, including Sideline Interactive. Their indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more and create the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302. That's sidelineinteractive.com. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. Their touchscreen video consoles are a great way to recognize the athletic achievements of your students. Let Vital Signs by Wall of Fame help you showcase your school's history and your proudest moments. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com or call them at 614-981-3589. That's Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. We also want to thank Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 200,000 teams are using Huddle to help their athletes play at the highest level. Huddle is the complete performance platform. They have online tools. They have smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. They've got analytics, but there's a whole lot more. Go to huddle.com to find out how your school can become a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com and find out what they can do for you and your school. That's Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. And we also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack allow you to collect comprehensive data that helps you evaluate and improve your entire program. It also connects you with your parents and your student athletes to help them demonstrate the importance of a positive athletic experience. Go to athleticsurveys.com, or you can call them at 1-800-738-6466. You can also email them at info@athleticsurveys.com. Again, they sponsor the Athletic Director Toolbox segment of our regular podcast. That's athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Thanks again for listening to the Educational AD Podcast and Timeout with Dr. Kaleb Stoppel. We'll see you next week with another episode.